bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome to today's global news update for Millennium TV 24/7 Global News Network. Thank you for joining us today. Here's today's stories. President Joe Biden's trip Tuesday to Fort Worth, Texas is personal. A chance to talk with veterans and their caregivers and push for more help for members of the military who face health problems after exposure to burn pits. In last week's State of the Union address, Biden raised the prospect of whether being near the chemicals from burn pits in Iraq led to the death of his son, Beau. Quotes, "We don't know for sure if a burn pit was the cause of his brain cancer or the diseases of so many of our troops," end quote. Biden said in the speech, quotes, "But I'm committed to find out everything we can," end quotes. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Monday that Biden will be traveling with Veterans Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough to Texas. They'll visit the VA clinic in Fort Worth with remarks to follow at the Tarrant County Resource Connection on, quotes, expanding access to health care and benefits for veterans affected by exposure to harmful substances, toxins, and other environmental hazards, including those from burn pits, end quote. Next news. One teenager was killed and two others were critically wounded after gunfire that appeared to come from a passing vehicle truck outside at an Iowa school, authorities said. Des Moines police said in a news release Monday that potential suspects have been detained in the shooting on the grounds of East High School near Des Moines downtown, about a half mile from the Capitol. No charges were immediately filed. Sergeant Paul Parizek told KCCI-TV that calls started pouring in around 2:50 p.m. Monday, shortly before classes were scheduled to dismiss for the day. Police didn't identify those shot, but said a 15-year-old male had died. He was not a student at East. The other two who were shot were females aged 16 and 18, who both attended East. They were hospitalized in critical condition. Next news. Teachers in the Minneapolis school district were set to walk off the job on Tuesday in a dispute over wages, class sizes, and mental health support for students, at least temporarily pausing classes for about 29,000 students in one of Minnesota's largest school districts. Union members said they could not reach agreement on wages, especially a living wage for educational support. Professionals, as well as caps on class sizes and more mental health services for students. Quotes, "We are going on strike for the safe and stable schools our students deserve," end quotes, said Greta Cunningham, president of the teachers chapter of the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers. School district called the news disappointing, but pledged to remain at the mediation table nonstop in an effort to reduce the length and impact of this strike. End quotes. Teachers in the neighboring St. Paul School District, with about 34,000 students, announced a tentative agreement late Monday night to avert a strike that had also been scheduled to start Tuesday. Next news. In a victory for Democrats, the Supreme Court has turned away efforts from Republicans in North Carolina and Pennsylvania to block state court-ordered congressional districting plans. In separate orders late Monday, the justices are allowing maps selected by each state's Supreme Court to be in effect for the 2022 elections. Those maps are more favorable to Democrats than the ones drawn by the state's legislators. In North Carolina, the map most likely will give Democrats an additional House seat in 2023. The Pennsylvania map also probably will lead to the election of more Democrats, Republicans say, as the two parties battle for control of the U.S. House of Representatives in the midterm elections in November. We're going to take a short break from the daily English global news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Network. Here's a continuation of today's headlines. President Joe Biden has decided to ban Russian oil imports. toughening the toll on Russia's economy in retaliation for its invasion of Ukraine, according to a person familiar with the matter. The move follows pleas by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to US and Western officials to cut off the imports. It had been a glaring omission, the massive sanctions put in place on Russia over the invasion. Energy exports have kept a steady influx of cash flowing to Russia despite otherwise severe restrictions on its financial sector. Biden was set to announce the move as soon as Tuesday, Johnson said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss the matter before an announcement. The White House said Biden would speak Tuesday morning to announce, quotes, actions to continue to hold Russia accountable for its unprovoked and unjustified war in Ukraine. End quotes. Next news. Congress gave final approval Monday to legislation that for the first time would make lynching a federal hate crime in the U.S., sending the bill to President Joe Biden to sign into law. Years in the making, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act is among some 200 bills that have been introduced over the past century that have tried to ban lynching in America. It is named for the black teenager whose brutal killing in Mississippi in 1955 and his mother's insistence on an open funeral casket to show the world what had been done to her child. It became a pivotal moment in the civil rights era. Quotes, after more than 200 failed attempts to outlaw lynching, Congress is finally succeeding in taking a long overdue action by passing the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, end quote, said Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat from New York. Next news. Proposed U.S. aid for Ukraine and its European allies has grown beyond $12 billion. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Monday, as congressional bargainers work toward a bipartisan government-wide spending deal that would also contain fresh sums for battling COVID-19. The remarks by Schumer underscored the momentum in Congress for helping outgunned Ukraine fend off Russian invaders and assisting that country and help cope with the influx of refugees, other economical and humanitarian problems caused by Russia's brutal attack. Quotes, the clearest signal Congress can send to Vladimir Putin this week is passing a bipartisan aid package, end quote, said Schumer, referring to the Russian president. Quotes, leaving no doubt that the democratic nations of the world stand with Ukraine and against Putin's deeply immoral and bloody, senseless war. Quotes. Next news. The Defense Department will permanently shut down the Navy's massive fuel tank facility in Hawaii that leaked petroleum into Pearl Harbor's tap water. and will remove all the fuel, the Pentagon said Monday. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said the decision by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is based on a new Pentagon assessment, but also is in line with an order from Hawaii's Department of Health to drain fuel from the tanks at the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility. The tanks, built into the side of a mountain during World War II to protect them from enemy attack, had leaked into drinking water, into a drinking water well, and contaminated the water at Pearl Harbor, homes, and offices. We're going to take a short break from the daily English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back to Millennium TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's a continuation of today's headlines. Buses carried civilians out of one embattled Ukrainian city Tuesday and supplies toward another, as officials tried to move people away from a Russian onslaught and ease the dire humanitarian situation for those still stuck. But reports of renewed Russian attacks in one area threatened to again derail those efforts. On the 13th day of the invasion, Europe's worst refugee crisis since World War II grew even more severe, with UN officials reporting that 2 million people have now fled Ukraine. Demands for ways to safely evacuate civilians have surged along with intensifying shelling by Russian forces, who have made significant advances in southern Ukraine, but stalled in some of the regions. Efforts to put in place ceasefires along humanitarian corridors have repeatedly failed amid Russian shelling. That's shooting. Oh, God. Next news. As more Ukrainian towns and cities come under siege, concern is mounting for millions of civilians in the crossfire. Russia has announced the establishment of safe corridors to allow civilians to leave, but there appeared to be few takers. Evacuation routes led mostly to Russia and its ally Belarus, drawing withering criticism from Ukraine and others. And Russia continued to pound some cities with rockets, even after the announcement of humanitarian corridors. Such tactics were common during the Syria war after Moscow entered the war in 2015 to shore up President Bashar Assad's forces. Humanitarian corridors arise when a population is caught in a war zone, particularly when a city or town is under siege. The idea is that hostilities are halted for a certain time to allow civilians who need to flee to do so along designated routes or to allow urgent humanitarian aid to enter for civilians who remain, for the civilians who still remain. Next news. As Russia has intensified its war on Ukraine, killing civilians and triggering a mass refugee crisis, some U.S. officials across the political spectrum have called for a ban on imports of Russian fuel. Such a ban, they say, would be the best. Perhaps the only way to force Moscow to pull back. A full embargo would be most effective if it included European allies, which are also desperate to stop the violence in Ukraine and the danger Moscow poses to the continent. I almost read internet, sorry. Yet it's far from clear that Europe would take part in a total embargo. Unlike the United States, Europe is deeply reliant on energy it imports from Russia. While the US could replace the relatively small amount of fuel it receives from Moscow, Europe could not. At least, not anytime soon. Next news. 2 million people have fled Ukraine since Russia's invasion. The United Nations refugee chief and the International Organization for Migration said on Tuesday. UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, confirmed the figure as more headed for the borders. Poland has received more than 1.2 million Ukrainian refugees, the most of any nation, UN figures show. Civilians in one eastern Ukrainian city were shown leaving on buses Tuesday amid a 12-hour-long ceasefire there after Russia and Ukraine agreed on establishing 5 safe corridors for people to escape the fighting. Meanwhile, Russian aircraft continued to bomb cities in eastern and central Ukraine overnight. That means while the people were, it's terrible. Ukrainian officials said shooting, pounded suburbs at the capital of Kiev. A short break from the daily English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium TV 24/7 Global News Network. Here's a continuation of today's stories. Commercial satellite images suggest a resuming of construction activity at North Korea's nuclear testing ground nearly 4 years after leader Kim Jong-un declared the site's closure and invited foreign journalists to observe the destruction of tunnels ahead of his first summit with then U.S. President Donald Trump. Analysts say it's unclear how long it would take North Korea to restore the site for nuclear detonations, if it intends to do so. The site in Punggye-ri in the country's northeast was used for its sixth and last nuclear test in 2017. The sighting of construction activity at the site comes amid a deepening diplomatic freeze since the collapse of the second Kim-Trump meeting in February 2019, when the Americans rejected North Korean demands for major sanctions relief in exchange for a partial surrender of its nuclear capabilities. Next news. Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard launched a second reconnaissance satellite into space, state media reported Tuesday, just as world powers awaited Tehran's decision in negotiations over the country's tattered nuclear deal. State television identified the launch as taking place in its northeastern Shahroud Desert, without specifying when. However, it came as Iran's top diplomat at the months-long talks suddenly flew home late Monday for consultations, a sign of the growing pressure on Tehran as the negotiations appear to be nearing their end. The Guard said the Noor 2 satellite reached a low orbit of 500 kilometers, 310 miles above the Earth's surface on the KZ satellite carrier. The state-run IRNA news agency reported. It described the KZ, or messenger in Farsi, as a three-phase mixed-fuel satellite carrier. Quotes, "It is a great achievement that we can put our eyes in the sky again and look at the Earth from space," end quotes, said Guard General Hossein Salami, according to IRNA. Next news. Okay. An expert group convened by the World Health Organization said Tuesday this is next news, strongly supports urgent and broad access to booster doses in a reversal of the UN agency's previous insistence that boosters weren't necessary and contributed to vaccine inequity. In a statement, WHO said its expert group concluded that immunization with authorized COVID-19 vaccines provide high levels of protection against severe disease and death amid the global circulation of the hugely contagious Omicron variant. It said vaccination, including the use of boosters, was especially important for people at risk of severe disease. Last year, WHO's Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus called for a moratorium on booster doses while dozens of countries embarked on administering the doses, saying rich countries should immediately donate those vaccines to poor countries instead. WHO scientists said at the time they would continue to evaluate incoming data. Next news. Back in August, New Zealand's government put the entire nation on lockdown after a single community case of the coronavirus was detected. On Tuesday, when cases new daily cases hit a record of nearly 24,000, officials told hospital workers they could help out on understaffed COVID-19 wards, even if they were mildly sick themselves. It was the latest sign of just how radically New Zealand's approach to the virus has shifted, moving from elimination to suppression, and now to something approaching acceptance as the Omicron variant has taken hold. Experts say New Zealand's sometimes counterintuitive actions have likely saved thousands of lives by allowing the nation to mostly avoid earlier, more deadly variants and buying time to get people vaccinated. The nation of 5 million has reported just 65 virus deaths since the pandemic began. This has been the daily global news update of Millennium News TV 24/7. We want to wish everyone out there a happy Women's Day. Please, thank you for watching. Log in to get the latest news on all of our social networking sites: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. On TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel, which you should like, subscribe, and comment on, definitely, and share with your friends, News Channel M24. That's on YouTube. Okay? Check it out. Viewers, now on both network broadcasting, Android, and iOS devices: Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. Also, all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment and latest news, views, editorials, current events. Check out our channel. Our Millennium TV apps: Millennium TV USA for Android, Millennium News Google, Google us, www.millenniumnews24.com. Please stay with us. Stay with Millennium News 24 Global News Network. Thank you so much. We wish you the best. Peace and love.